So now we know where to put our plants. We know what to do to optimize their home with their own little pot. And now we're going to talk about what goes in the pot because that is just as important as the home it goes in. Because if you have the perfect home, but you don't have the right food and environment for it, the plant is not going to survive very well. So, as a general rule of thumb, again, this is general blanket statement for most plants in a pot, you're likely going to want potting soil. And what distinguishes potting soil from other types of soil, you may see a manure and compost mix. Those are all intended to be a bolster for a large area of soil. That could be a large raised bed, that could be right on the ground, bolstering up the soil from the earth. But if you have a pot, you are not having your plant get access to the nutrition, the other options for nutrients in the soil of the planet Earth, which has an abundant amount of nutrition. So, potting soil is basically intended to create the environment of having a lot of nutrition that will break down over time to give your plant continuous food as it grows. Now, important to note, you may want to consider adding more soil over time or adding fertilizer over time. Now, how often you do that is going to be dependent on the plant. So as we're going through our planting process, I think it's important to put a little, like we say, the drainage rocks on the bottom, and then figure out the level of where you want the plant. So if you want the plant to be a little bit lower, which I think is easier for watering, because then if you water, the water's not going to spill over the top. So I think having a little bit of a lower than the lip, so not much, but a little bit that it's going to have some space. I think that's beneficial because then also when you leave a little bit of that space in the top, you're going to have room to put fertilizer on if you so choose, or another layer of soil. So I think having it a little bit lower than right to the even space on the lid or the lip is beneficial. So we're talking about potting soil first, and maybe I'd say realistically, I fertilize my houseplants every 6 months. Some of them you could probably do every 3 or 4 months. It's not going to really hurt the plant if you're putting some extra nutrition in there. You just want to make sure you're not putting the wrong type of nutrition there. So I think worm castings are generally pretty good. You can look up different types of organic fertilizers you can add on there. The keyword is organic because there are a lot of chemical fertilizers that people will add to their plants. So worm castings is just worm poop. And that is highly nutrient dense for plants. And again, certain plants are going to need different things, but even putting another layer of potting soil on the top, because even though you may think the roots are going down, they're actually kind of going everywhere to really monopolize this entire pot. So if you put some on top, they will actually gain access to some of that on top. And we want to be careful not to be digging down in there to put in more soil or trying to mix up the soil, till the soil, because that will be disturbing the root structure for our plants. So adding potting soil on top of the drainage rocks. And I like to put a thin layer of potting soil on the bottom, put my plant in after, I squeeze it out of the little plastic piece, which I will be doing a video on transplanting, which you'll see that a little bit later. But, leaving a little bit space and then putting the plant in, seeing the level, and then starting to fill in around the sides. And again, that may be tough if you're putting into a tiny pot, but if the plant is this big and I'm putting it into a pot this big, I have plenty of room to maneuver my hand around to fill that in. So moral of the story here, potting soil is what's going in, and occasionally fertilizing with additional potting soil or organic plant fertilizer to keep your plant getting proper nutrition. So for potting soil, my favorite is this coast of Maine. I'm not sure, depending on where you are, if you will have that in your area. In New England, this is very common for organic soil. Has a lot of good stuff you see for houseplants, hanging baskets, window boxes, and outdoor containers. So this is a great combination. There's a good balance of nutrition in there. I find the plants do pretty well, but honestly, any organic potting soil is going to be just fine. And then, as I was mentioning, for organic fertilizer, this is actually from Polyface Farms. So this is organic fertilizer, earthworm castings for indoor and outdoor use. So there are plenty of different fertilizers. There's this one here, which I use outside. This thing is definitely a little stinky. It has some chicken manure in there. So this is not something I would use inside. This is definitely for outside use. It is for urban vegetables specifically, so you can look on as well, and go to a local gardening store or look online and figure out what the best thing is for houseplants. But this seems to do the trick for me. What's up, YouTube? Thanks for watching this video. This is actually a module that I had from the course Houseplant Basics, Your Guide to Healthy, Happy Plants, which is now entirely free on YouTube. So you can see the entire course. It's a mini course with a playlist I have linked here. If you're into wellness, you're into gardening, you're into plants, Health Connections is the channel for you. So I'd love for you to subscribe. If you found this interesting, would love to hear what you like about it, what you'd like to see more of, and that really helps me to deliver the best content to you. So thank you so much for watching. Have the best day ever, and I'll see you soon.